This is a story that's very dear to me. It's every character in this story, the kid and Marionette and Fairy, has many different meanings to many different people.
The characters in the story seem to take on a different identity based on each individual's past. It's definitely a story of friendship.
What a great story. Hello, my name is Burma Davis Posey. The Marionette is not only a beautiful story based on the power of friendship, but it's also the legend behind the story that's just as fascinating. Let me take you through a journey of struggle and prosperity with only the dream of success as the driving force. This story takes place in the former Soviet Union in the Republic of Georgia in a small city called Gdauta. It borders on the Black Sea. On January 2nd, 1972, on a cold winter night, the family of Laura and Jakub Gavazi were celebrating the birth of their youngest son, Nicolas. Not only was he their youngest child, but he was the youngest member of the entire Gavazi family. Jakub was a general manager of the sports complex in Gdauta, while Laura was the CEO of the local movie theater. She would take Nicolas to the theater as a young boy almost every day, which had a great influence on Nicolas in an artistic way. For days on end, he would sit in the dark theater and watch those sharp-edged, offbeat characters that would later inspire his solo sketches with vivid, seamless, and in rapid-fire succession. At night, his mother would come into the theater and look for him with her flashlight. Most of the time, he would be asleep in the seat, exhausted from watching movies all day. By a very young age, Nicolas knew every movie by heart, especially the Polish, French, and American films. The results of dreams and nightmares, caused from watching so many movies as a young boy, became the basis of performance sketches into his teenage years for his family and friends to watch. He would act them out as people watched in amazement at the characters he had created. He proved himself to be a rare talent able to illuminate his deepest thoughts. Neighbors willingly paid to see him perform. Having a shrewd business sense, Nicolas devised a pay scale. Rich neighbors paid $5. Poorer neighbors paid 25 cents. At 15 years old, he was a brilliant student. Nicolas graduated 1 full year ahead of schedule and passed the entrance exams for both the University of Law and the University of Theater. It's not hard to guess where Nicolas ended up. 6 months into his theatrical training, he was confronted by his parents again. He promised them he would transfer after a brief 10-day student group vacation to Germany. Nicolas arrived in Germany carrying his small knapsack full of clothes, his sultry 400 marks, literally just walking away from his tour group and his life in communist Soviet-controlled Georgia. He was 16 years old, alone, did not speak the language, had no place to go, but all he could think of was studying with Marcel Marceau. With that one bold move, Nicolas took his first step in realizing his dreams. His friend from the airplane gave him a place to stay, a friend's apartment that was unoccupied.
It was a tiny apartment with a small kitchen and a very small shower. He didn't even have hot water. It was, he could practically freeze to death every morning. His only furniture, I remember, was an inflatable bed in the corner of the room.
Every 3 hours during the night, he would awaken to reinflate the air mattress bed that had a slow leak. After inflating it 3 times in one night, he decided to sleep on the floor. As morning broke, he would step into an ice-cold shower and nearly freeze to death. Because he was in Dresden on a tourist visa, as well as only 16 years old, no one would give him a job. All he had left was his talent. So he took his last Deutschmarks and bought white face makeup, powder, and headed out the door to perform his new sketch called All Night Alone. Based on his unpleasant nighttime experiences, he had turned it into a comedy. The people loved it. He didn't get rich from it, but he did receive applause and just enough money to get him to Paris. Arriving in Paris at the age of 16, Nicolas had 370 francs, spoke no French, a bit of broken German and his native Georgian. At this time, he didn't know a soul in the new city. Without a second thought, Nicolas jumped into a taxi and headed straight for Marcel Marceau's school. When he arrived, he paid out his last 300 francs, all the money he had left in his pocket, for the entrance exams, which included 7 days of testing. At night, he slept on a bench outside across from the school. He would then use the school showers in the morning. Suffering for his heart was an understatement, but no obstacle would keep him from his dream. On the day of the final exams, he had no music, so he borrowed a tape from a cafe and used it as his show music. He performed a simple man, a painter who becomes an artist. To do so, the man had to sell his soul to the devil. But as an artist, he saves many people, thereby saving his own soul. Nicolas performed the sketch brilliantly. The jury and Marcel Marceau were mesmerized by his performance, and Nicolas had indeed been accepted, but not as a paying student. He was to attend on a full scholarship. Those days were some of the happiest times for Nicolas. He was studying with his idol and was also working in local theaters and earning real money. While performing and developing new stage characters and shows, he gained many friends among the producers and actors.
Everybody liked being around Nicolas. He's such a great guy, so much fun to be with. He was making people laugh all the time. Just love being around him. He has such an amazing energy that draws people to him. It's phenomenal. Nicolas has this capacity to capture the attention and to make people feel very happy.
He's very creative and he's so talented, and his mind is just working like so fast, and we had a great time on the set. The dance section is just, it speaks for itself.
For spectacular productions, Worldgate Entertainment.
Soon he created his own production company, Worldgate Entertainment. It was at this time he began performing his show, Bubble Nicolas, throughout the world. The audiences grew larger and larger, as well as his fan base. Success was evident. After finishing 2 years of the 3-year program at Marcel Marceau's school, he was ready to move on to his other dream of film directing. He attended film school in Paris and graduated with full honors in 1996. The Walt Disney Company showed a great interest in bringing Bubble Nicolas to the Epcot Center. However, not only was he able to perform as Bubble Nicolas, but he also brought his other productions with him too. Nicolas adapted very well to the American audiences and decided to continue his creations in the United States. In 2001, Nicolas decided to create a show called The Marionette, and he began traveling with the show, performing throughout Europe and Asia. The act was an instant success and became so popular that Nicolas had to hire bodyguards to keep his adoring fans from overtaking him, the stage and partner Stephen Romer, who plays the character of the kid in the show, and lately in the film. Ironically enough, the overnight success was also an overnight production. In 2002, Nicolas met with producer and director Bill Rod. Together they decided to make a feature film combining their creativity. They produced and directed The Marionette, which wrapped in July 2003. Nicolas and Bill knew what they were looking for. With the addition of Mark Cooper, a storyboard artist, by the time casting rolled around, they had abandoned their need for a script and they had drawn a complete and detailed illustration of the film.
We sat for weeks working on the entire motion picture in a series of storyboard art.
The Mark was drawing while we were talking story out, and it was just greatest feeling to see how all stories comes alive.
Mark not only did all the storyboards, he also filled the role as art director. And he also was directly involved in designing the clock and the calendar.
And the challenge there was that there were no numbers or no letters in the motion picture, so I had to come up with a calendar and a clock with that in mind.
No talking, no speak, no word, no conversation, nothing else. You can talk each other, that's fine.
The children are so happy they want this part.
Yes, very. And we were showing them the pictures. Because what we were trying to do, we were making them act with the words first. After we were trying them to take the words out, they do everything with expression.
Okay, you ready? Action.
That's why the mom got the role too. But she's looked great actually.
I understand a lot of the choreography was created actually on the set.
It was, and believe me when I say that working with Nicolas was quite a learning experience. He has such a great style that's so unique, and that was sometimes a challenge.
Right from the beginning, from the auditions through the rehearsal process, Nicolas had this vision that wasn't so clear-cut to some of the people, but soon we all got on the same page and we were all working together, and I think it turned out fantastic.
It really did.
Yeah.
And I believe one of the reasons why is because he was so willing to work with us. He was so accepting of our ideas and suggestions, and it made for a great end result.
It was fun. I totally
Find
agree.
your hands in the wall where you're comfortable to go.
Yeah, that took us a while to get right there. It's much harder than it looks.
Exactly. He makes it look like it's nothing, and believe me, it's something. It takes a lot to, make it look like you're in a box, to find the walls. It's all about isolation right here, and we spent hours on isolation, and I never realized how much I could isolate a part of my body until I worked with Nicolas.
It's so much
There
harder
we are, up against
than
the
it
mirror
looks.
practicing. It is.
It looks like you're moving joints that we rarely move.
Exactly.
Just all we're doing is from this position, run, stop.
Trying it one way, and then he just said, no, I'll try something a little bit different.
That was a
So-
challenge, combining our style with his style. But
Wasn't that great that you had the freedom to create this as you were going?
Absolutely. Being able to workshop this at the same time, as well as set the choreography.
Something, I want something great.
Someone has one great idea and it inspires another idea and then that inspires another idea. This is wonderful.
In my body, what I feel, it just straight in. There you go. So you guys come in just like you did before.
Don't you just feel an energy as you watch this? Yeah. Don't you just, I don't know, it just makes me feel good to watch. I don't know, maybe just after being in the rehearsals and going through the filming of the movie and everything, and just watching Nicolas.
This is track 1. All right, here we go.
How does it make you feel sitting here watching this? Does it bring back memories of actually going through all of these dance numbers?
It sure does, absolutely. It does, it does. From the freezes to the white face makeup to the rehearsals, all that hard work, it's so rewarding to sit here and watch this.
Watch it all come together. Bring it to life.
Take one. One quick change. When you guys walk off through here, our lighting effects guy has to be able to see this. So when you go, keep going. Don't stop right here. Okay. Just keep going. That was beautiful though. Let's do it again.
Oh my God. I love you, Steven Spielberg. You are my inspiration, I promise.
I thought Steven did a wonderful job as Patu. Were there many challenges working with a character that was 9 feet tall?
Well, there was a little challenges. We had to obviously have an oversized set, but unfortunately the furniture all was normal size, so it was a little bit more difficult for Steven to be natural.
Bending up completely. Before he can has more easy to play, so when he's completely like that, it's difficult to play for him. You see what I'm saying?
Roll camera. Action. Thank you, everybody. That's a wrap for today. We'll pick up call time is at 7:30 for hair, makeup, and Hatuna.
There are a lot of young people who want to go into film and television. I know this is going to be interesting to the people who are watching to see what goes on behind the scenes. It's obvious that you and Nicolas have been working together for a long time. How was it working with him on a set?
Well, I have an advantage with Nicolas because we actually grow up together and we understand each other really well. And I worked with him before, and he's a great director. He knows exactly what he wants and way he wants, and we always worked well together.
I do not have any problem work with her, and actually I like to work with her because that's true, we understand each other very, very good. And the first time when we auditioned her, because even she's my best friend, still every actor must audition before they actually go front of the camera. And I was very, very anxious what he was gonna say. And the bill is actually, is good. She's good. Let's take it. Yeah, she's good. Actually, I'm supposed to be scared in the wood. I have to be run, get so scared. I have to tell you one thing.
I don't want to play scared because I'm very scared. They tell me they have huge snakes there in the woods.
Lots of people were scared of the snakes, and it was dark. It's Florida, it's woods, it's night, you know, snakes.
He's driving. He won't hear him.
The woods actually had a lot of other challenges besides the snakes. At this location, we were surrounded by 3 major roadways, so we were having to film in between cars' headlights.
Go. Nicholas, we've already walked through there. It's okay. It's okay. See, look.
There's no snake.
It's okay. There's no bugs.
Oh yeah, 2 different. This for the video. Yeah, just take this one.
All right, here we go. You ready, Nicholas? Yes, sir. Roll camera. Action. That was pretty good. Okay, Nicholas, take your first position where you run in or where you walk in. He's walking into the shot, right? Roll camera. Action.
We'll follow him in, John.
Moving on.
Rock on.
What was important about this sequence is the fact that it really established the ferry itself. At first I wanted just a fast little ferry that flies around, but Nicolas knew exactly what he was looking for. And he wanted it, after I animated, he kept saying, slower, slower. No, I cut it in half. He wanted it slower. But, I mean, once we put it all together, it was great. Definitely tied everything together.
After I saw the Marionette and went home, this is the scene I remembered. I think this is absolutely perfection.
Thank you very much.
Did you find this a challenge, knowing that she was going to be an integral part of the story?
Knowing the fairy's part in the film was just exciting. To get a chance to work on a project like this was truly priceless.
Jonathan, you were not only done a great fairy work, but same time, you were there every day, every single shot. So this is maybe a perfect opportunity to tell you, in front of everybody, how much we want to tell you. Thank you very, very much for your wonderful job.
I hope you have a backup cookie. Because cookie might be gone before the mouth gets it.
I don't think so. When you see someone dead, that's when you eat this cookie.
When you brought it out and put it on the table, me and Duncan talking or whatever, I'm looking at it like, they got cookies there? Just as I thought that, you said, don't eat the cookie, it's a prop. And you had like the do not. I was thinking, I have to go find me a cookie now.
Great.
What makes a great film become a great film? When you take all the variables out of the equation, if a film doesn't have a great soundtrack, then it'll never get past anyone's library. The sound and effects that were created by Soundorama Studios in Orlando are absolutely breathtaking.
We had the pleasure of having all of the elements in-house for post-production. We had video edit, we did all the compositing for the special effects, the wonderful work that Jonathan did, and part of what we did was to composite all the live footage with the work that Jonathan and Tony had done. And we, Nick and Bill both asked us to do some things that we didn't know could be done, and that was very enriching.
How did you find it working with Nicolas and with Bill?
Well, it was great because both of them are completely nuts. On the first day of the project, one of the first things they asked us to do was to replace all the skies in the outdoor shots. And we looked at them like they were crazy. Unfortunately, when they shot the outdoor scenes.
But they did it. They replaced it.
They certainly did, and beautifully.
We were crazy too, I think. The outdoor scenes, the skies were too white, and they wanted the place to have a magical feel and color. And we scratched our heads and went away for a while and figured out a way to do it. It was very difficult and unconventional, but it gave the film an interesting look.
What a great teamwork project. You're to be congratulated.
It was actually a total teamwork. There wasn't one decision made that wasn't gone throughout the whole team, especially when it got to post. It was a great thing.
You know, Bill, from the first time I saw the Marionette, the thing that I came away with was a feeling of love. And I feel that among all of the people that have contributed to this film. You really love the project and you love each other. So I think that it's going to affect millions of lives.
Well, I think so too. I mean, anytime you can put together a production, family, children, it doesn't make any difference, that the whole crew has the same passion for the project as we do, it always comes through, you can tell.
Well, I tell you, as a parent and as a grandmother, I hope that this team stays together. And perhaps in the future you can even do a series for children, or perhaps some children's books.
Actually, one thing is sure, this team's gonna stay together. We're gonna really gonna work a lot together.
Yeah.
And for the series, we may have quite a surprises too, because soon, very, very soon, we're gonna work something.
Well, I think you've raised the standard and you've raised the bar. And I hope that you'll not only inspire children, but you'll inspire other producers and other sound people, other directors, and other creators to realize this is what people are looking for.
Right.
I hope that happens.
Yeah. It will.
You're right, it will. Casey and Casey, do you have any final thoughts on the Marionette?
I have one final thought, and that was that I wish that the entire crew, many of them who are here today, could have been at the Crystal Reel Awards when we received the Crystal Reel Award for this project, because all the efforts that went into making this production were really realized that night. If you could have seen Nicolas and Bill, they had the happiness squirting out of their ears.
It was exciting.
I wish everybody could have been there with us.
It was very exciting, very scary when you have to get the awards over there, actually.
Well, I hope that your next award is an Emmy.
I would like that.
Our world is so full of violence and chaos and rush, rush, rush. I think there's a genuine starvation by many families who want something positive and wholesome that they can sit down to watch with their families and children. I also firmly believe that that great need is going to be met with this tremendous film, The Marionette. I believe with all my heart it's going to become a classic children's film that's going to be enjoyed for decades to come. I've enjoyed meeting the people who created this masterpiece and having moments to chat with them. I hope that you've enjoyed the evening. I hope that the lessons that you've learned about friendship are going to be with you and bless you for the remainder of your lives. We thank you for joining us and wish you a very good night.
I'm standing here with these three gentlemen with the best broadcast pilot series. What's your name, sir?
Bill Rod.
K.C. Ladner.
Nicolas J.
Let's start with Mr. Bill here. Tell us a little bit about yourself and the award.
Well, I'm very excited about this award. I've been in the entertainment business for about 15 years, and this has been a pleasure and hard work in coming, actually. I actually owe it all to Nicolas here, who is my partner in Marionette Pictures, and it's his vision for the Marionette himself. And I also owe it to Soundorama Studios, K.C. Ladner, who did all the soundtrack and all the audio mix and everything. So.
Okay, Mr. Casey, let me hear what you have to say, sir.
Just proud to be a part of this project. If you get a chance to catch it, it's a wonderful children's story that has a message you'll never forget.
Okay, and you, sir?
Very exciting, almost last. So thank you, and thanks everybody to help us for this project. And wonderful, it's great.
Well, congratulations, guys, once again.
Thank you.
All righty. Good luck in the future. Good luck in the future.